and Marana Mornings. Arizona Sports, the local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
My favorite moment of the Cardinals' win on Monday Night Football might have been in the post-game interview room. And no, it wasn't when Gambo and I asked questions simultaneously. Him from the back of the room, me from the front, one loud Chicagoan and a loud New Yorker battling it out for supremacy. That was fairly grotesque, to be honest. No, my favorite moment was when James Conner walked into the interview room like the badass he is, and I realized in a moment that I spend far too much time talking about football players who are not James Conner, because James Conner is giving a good chunk of his golden years to the sport of football, primarily to the Arizona Cardinals. The amount of hits that man absorbs in the spirit of competition is staggering. In pursuit of inches and blades of grass. And remember, this is a league littered with running backs who lose their taste, who lose their fire, who lose the desire to compete because of that very cost, because of that pain, because of the way you are going to feel the following morning. But just like a honey badger, James Conner don't care. He's brave enough to carry a decimated offensive line. He's strong enough to be the foundation for an entire culture, because he's a football player with uncommon valor, the kind that are worth their weight in gold.
Going into that game, Bick, we talked about, hey, we know what the Cardinals want to do, ideally, as their blueprint offensively. That is run first, then throw off the run. The throwing still isn't there. We just talked to Kyle Vanden Bosch about it. But the running game was in full effect last night, and it wasn't just Kyler Murray busting off 44-yard touchdown runs. They had 181 yards rushing against that Chargers defense, who had only yielded their high that they had yielded was 114, and that came against the Steelers in a game that they lost by 10 points against a team in the Steelers that wants to do the same exact thing.
Exactly.
They want to ram the football right down your throat. And that was a statement last night.
Yes, it was. And yeah, so at the front of my blast, that actually did happen. There was a moment in the post-game interview, and we couldn't find that audio, right, Jarrett?
Do you remember what the question was that you asked?
Well, my question that I asked Jonathan Gannon was that Coach, you have, I didn't call him Coach, but JG, because he's not my coach, but JG,
he's America's
you
coach.
said that if you control the controllables, that this is a good football team. Did tonight affirm that? But as I started,
I have it, but
I started to ask that, you have to understand what I'm saying.
Other part.
Me and Gambo literally started talking at the same time, and like the two brash people we are, neither one of us stopped. And it just kept going and going. His voice and my voice layered together in some incoherent mess. And finally, it was like, okay, Gambo, you go ahead.
It's my personal nightmare.
We can reenact it if you want.
Ooh.
Go ahead. You start asking your question.
Coach,
look, JT,
what do you think about
it? What was the deal with that Clayton two-4-1 call? Like,
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So it was a really funny, actually, kind of moment. But in all seriousness, what I said in the blast, I honestly do feel about it. There are nights when I walk away and I go, this man, we do not give this man his due. I mean, we think we might, but what he does for this football team cannot be overstated. You watch the amount of hits he takes on, say, a garden variety half-yard gain. He's had a bunch of them this year where he gets gang tackled. And he takes one shot after another, after another, after another. He goes down, it's a half-yard gain, and he gets back up and he does it again. And he's been doing this his whole career. There's been any number of running backs, from Neil Anderson, Bears, to David Johnson, great guy, who get the will beaten out of them by this sport.
Kenyon Drake.
There's a whole the fact that James Conner still vibes on this stuff.
Well, not only that.
Oh, he's got it.
I found it. Yeah. Because you wound up asking. You did get to ask your question eventually.
I did.
I was looking at the wrong part. Here we go.
You said when you control the controllables.
Sorry, Vic.
Come on, Dan. Go ahead, Gibbo.
You're next, Vic. You're next.
That was fantastic. Is that a dystopian nightmare or what? Like I said, a loud New Yorker and a loud Chicagoan. Hey, Coach! Over here!
No, over here.
Over here!
Over here.
Over here!
I said over
That's fantastic.
It is
That
fantastic.
kind of sounded like the reenactment we just did.
Look, what are you doing with Clayton Tune?
The thing about James Conner, too, that is so out of the ordinary in terms of career path and when he's doing this, he's getting better as he gets more experience. And he started out as a really good running back in Pittsburgh. He's been better in Arizona than he was in Pittsburgh. It's been a bargain, but he's also, I mean, we talk about these short windows for running backs. You burn hot, and then you fade away quick.
Yep.
And he's not burning out. He's not fading away.
No.
He gets stronger as games go on. He continues to be the emotional leader for this team.
Mm-hmm.
All the players are talking, and coaches are talking about the fiery message he sent to the team on Sunday night before the game. In fact, Kyler Murray talked about it as well.
A guy that doesn't say too much, but when he gets up there and speaks, it means something. You know what I mean? Not a lot of volume, but the substance behind it and what he's preaching, and anybody for that matter. When you get up there and you pour your heart out, guys feel it.
And here's more from James Conner on the team inspiring each other.
I hope it inspires them. We all got journeys. We all got different stories. Mine, cancer, all that type of stuff. But just because mine was that doesn't mean somebody else is more significant than somebody else's story. There's everybody on our team got a story. You know what I'm saying? So we're all inspiration to each other.
And it appears that came at a really good time for this team.
Oh, my goodness.
The season kind of teetering. If you lose that game, I agree with you. 2-5 is not something that this team appears to be equipped right now to deal with.
Listen, 90% of quote-unquote must-win games are not in the literal sense, but they are must-win games. And last night was. Finally, I'll say this. Garrett Williams, after the game last night, he was sporting a Larry Centers retro jersey. I don't know if you saw a replica jersey.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Which is a kind of cool thing. But James Conner is the best running back in team history, right?
Oh, yeah. I think so. I mean, in terms of 1 year, nobody's had a better year than David Johnson had in 2015.
Nobody's had a better game than Beanie Wells had. Or did LaShawn Johnson have a...
Beanie Wells broke LaShawn Johnson's record.
That's right.
But for consistency, I mean, this is James Conner's, fourth year here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For consistency. And he's going to I think he might have already broken the all-time. It's a shallow pool of candidates. Let's be honest. They have not had a great running back history since they moved to Arizona, but it was considered before James Conner to be Edgerrin James.
Yeah, I mean, they've had Hall of Fame running backs. They just were in Hall of Fame with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith, Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson.
Even going further back to the St. Louis days. Otis Anderson. Stump Mitchell. Earl Farrell.
Adrian Moreau.
Anthony Thompson.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we started with Gambo. We end with Gambo on this segment.
We always...
Yeah, kind of. If you subscribe to the Bickley and Marotta Show podcast, subscribe right now on your iPhone or Android. Never miss any of the show.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.